Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Make sure we're live here. Go. Welcome, 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 welcome. So today I'm covering something that's very dear to my heart, something that um, I've worked a lot at this, and I figured out a lot of amazing things that have helped me. Call spiritual relationship mastery. What's holding you back? So today I am going to give you a lot of concepts and things that I work with, areas I work with that actually help you identify the areas that are holding you back. And kind of once you know, once you know, then you can put your consciousness toward it and you can start healing that way, or you can start removing that block or letting go of the resistance. Therefore, we're going to get going. I'm just going to make sure everything's ready here. I'm Al Dene, spiritual abundance coach. I do help people overcome their blocks to their spiritual growth, and I help people move toward their bliss. If you are watching this live, great. If you are seeing it later, good. That's good. What happens is with anything, we are in the present. So we're trying to be in the present as much as we can. However, so if there's something I say that all of a sudden you kind of blank out or um, or are distracted or don't fully understand, if you listen to it later, all of a sudden it might make more sense as you go through it. And the reason for that is when we have a block, we are not present. We are living in the past, or we're living in the future, or a different dimension, or we're dreaming, or we are doing something that distracts us from being in the present. And that is something that happens to pretty well everyone, which keeps us at the same place. So I'm going to go through a few things. This is about relationships, right? So here's what I promise: unseen forces that hold you back, why people, spiritual seekers, but it's people anyways, repeat patterns, emotional patterns, and how to stop it, and how to heal your heart and return to bliss. So a healed heart is a heart that it is like there's so much flow of abundance around you, and it's very loving energy. Like our state is a state where our natural state is one of love. We are made of love. If there was one energy that we are made of, it is love energy. The more you heal, the more you bring back that energy. All right, here we're going to go. Now, I'm going to talk about different areas. I'm going to talk about relationship with yourself because those impact relationships with everyone, everything else. If you heal within yourself, your universe, it changes kind of the mirror of yourself, everything around you. I'm going to bring up an image here. There we go. So here's what I noticed. All right. All right. Just imagine those are, so this is a concept that is very very real and unseen. So imagine if you could see the image on the screen, there are different, I would call them different, you could call them different dimensions, different levels of consciousness. So if you think about it, those different levels of consciousness are competing to do whatever they're doing. Some are uh, beautiful energies, trying to get you to heal, and some are energies that are not as clear and that are working against you. Generally, the higher level is going to be controlling in some way the lower level because it has higher vibration. Now, it doesn't mean it won't let the lower level do its thing, but what it means is that um, I guess what I'm saying is there's many levels. So we're going to look at the lowest level. The lowest level is a world of drama. It is the story. It is the world. And here's what I notice is that we are living out stories, but at the higher levels, so I don't know if my mouse, you can't see my mouse with this, but at the higher level, let's say, there's less of a story. There's more of an in inclination or the ability to heal and close off things. However, every layer has to heal. But if you connect to the lower level, you are staying in a drama. So let's say someone who is, we'll say, a lot of narcissism. That's a popular word today. So let's say someone is really into themselves and selfish and it's all about them. They are connecting to all these lower energies. They're not going to benefit from the highest ones too much right now. They're not going to benefit from those levels of themselves. They're going to see the lower levels. If you're going to go see a healer, for example, or a spiritual person, so a spiritual person might give you, should give you the answer uh, to help your drama. So the answer at a high level, here's what you need to heal at this level. But if you go see someone else, they're going to give you a slightly different answer or a completely different answer. They're connecting at a different level. They're seeing something different. So that's what I'm trying to explain that different people give you different story, but if you go to someone who has true mastery, they're going to give you a story that is going to help heal and close us off at a higher level. And the story tells you where you're at. So if I go at story, let's say I'm like what's holding you back. So I'm going to give you some things to know when something is holding you back. There we go. Where? All right. Number one is a drama, obviously. But with drama is negative emotional charges. So anything that bothers you in your life is a negative emotional charge, taking you out of alignment with who you are. So there's a lot of things. If you feel powerless, if you feel vulnerable, if you're confused, if you're someone who you have something that you feel you need to prove yourself to someone else, even though it's a good thing, but there's an emotional charge with that. Let me hear. All right. For those who want feel they want to leave this world, they're connected to the lower. Even if they're a healer and they want to get out of their body and they think it's all cool, they're still connecting to lower vibrations. A lot of daydreaming, things set you off. There's a internal blame, even though you know that um, it doesn't necessarily make sense, but there might be blame. You might tell yourself things like, while it's happening, it wasn't meant for you. This wasn't meant for me. So this is what I have. This is what God wants me. This is for my highest good. I'll say like the highest and greatest good. That's another story. That is uh, a higher level vibration, but at the highest level, there's no reason to suffer for something for the highest and greatest good. Identify it, put your consciousness to it, and heal it. Highest and greatest good. I might even use it sometimes because that's how I've been brought to the healing world, but I don't as much anymore. I'm just having a lot of resistance for that. As like it was good for me to heal, so I learned all my lessons. Nope, heal, you'll have the lesson integrated and you move on. All right. Procrastination, we all do because we're stuck. because we're stuck at the lower levels. Um, Unable to meet what seems to be a valid goal. And also, if we accept the story that we're being told, we are staying stuck at that story. I find that with a lot of people, my friends who are not into spirituality or people I've known in the past, they are unable to look at themselves. Once you start looking at yourself, I find that whether it's religion or spirituality, that a lot of people have these awareness and openings, but they still get stuck. They still get to a point that they stop being able to go deep, and those are because um, they're not connecting at the highest level, and there's something they have to resolve before they move on. The reason I tell you this is I'm telling you for things to look out for. Where do you want to stay stuck there with them, or do you want to move on? It's very easy. It doesn't feel so easy if you're emotionally attached with them, but you can still pull back your energy and look at yourself. Okay. So those are things that kind of signs that you're being held back in your relationships with others. These are common myths I wrote down. You can't completely heal your heart this lifetime. So I'm going to say, I don't know if that's false. I think if I thought that way, that I can't completely heal my heart, a lot of people have told me, Al, you don't have to heal everything. And I'm like, if I could stop, I would. Like every day, my mind, body, spirit, and soul pushes out something else. That is because I've done the work, and that is a natural thing of intelligence of your body. It's like if you get sick, your body is like trying to push out what it can. So all of a sudden, you're taking a medicine, you feel better, it's going to push out the gunk. Mind, body, spirit, and soul pushes it out. It's always going to push it out. You can try to stop it. You could stuff it with a bunch of different things to numb yourself, but it's still going to try to do it. It's still going to squeeze it out and put a lot of pressure on you. So you can't completely heal your heart this lifetime. I don't agree. I think that you can get to your bliss this lifetime, and I know you can do it in a very short amount of time. It took me a long time, but now I know, and that's what I do with people in a short period of time. So you can get to your bliss where everything flows, where the energy flows. And I'm telling you things where I found that helps the energy flow. All right. Uh, oh yeah, but you got to follow your path. You can't follow someone else's path. So if you're going to get to your bliss, your path is going to be slightly different than other people. My path has been like a path of a single dad, and there was a single mom on the other side, taking care of the children half time, but also as a healer. And then as my children are growing up, my path changed to going to get parts of myself back around the world and healing myself and connecting with very high vibrations. That has been my path. I don't expect that to be anyone else's path. Your path is what's in your heart. I know I'm like some people who are listening and probably have heard some of this from me, but today's relationship mastery, everything revolves around your heart, around your relationships. All right. In order for me to keep growing, I had to follow that soul's voice inside me because um, everything that takes me away from that takes my life force energy away. I'm going to get to life force energy in a few moments. All right. Spirituality is complicated and bigger than us. If you're going to watch things that are just like mind blowing and kind of like that really go like, wow, this is so big. This person told me this. Well, is it true? Like, is it true? I can I can tell you a lot of things, but I chose in my life to heal myself because I realized that healing felt so much better than hurting, and I thought, I was like, okay, I'm going to go for example. Uh, I could sit there and try to figure out, are there aliens or not? Are there or not? And are the aliens helping? And I could give you different things I see based on the energy. Is that going to help me to heal? Maybe a little bit. Is it going to help me a lot? Has not. Has not. So I focus on the things that help me a lot. That's like, maybe something I'll explore more later. But right now, I'm not pulled to it. That's not where my soul takes me. And my soul says, you got enough to work on. This is what you're working on right now. This is all you need to know. So you only see, there's everything around you, all these layers, and you have access to all this stuff, but we only see what we need to know. My third eye only gives me what I need to know at that time. My guides will bring back what I need to know at that time. And some people will say, well, my guides are always bringing me back stuff. Well, now we're going to get into something about entanglement. So if there's entanglement, you're going to get a bunch of information that more information than you need at a time. So that is like way later in my talk when I get about entanglement. So right now I'm going through certain myths. You only live once. Not from what I can tell. Because when I do healings on myself or other people, I go on their timeline, and their timeline could be past life, it could be future, doesn't happen as much. It could be parallel life, it could be like different fragments. Now it could be argued that those are things of the mind, and it could be, but either way, there are things that I've been asked to heal as I do my work and as I do with work with others. So to me, past lives are real. However, it's the energy that you are healing, and it's the energy of the story you want to heal. So if you're going to, so here's like I didn't write this one down, but I think I'll add it. It's the energy you're following. Follow the energy of the story. Now, what that means is, I don't care if someone thinks a chakra is dark blue and another one says it's light blue, and uh, the story of someone, they say, well, that didn't happen here. That happened on a farm, 400 years ago. Another person says, well, that happened uh, 50 years ago when you were on, this part of the universe. All valid, but where is the healing going to happen? So you look at the energy. Is it those stories, or is there a bigger story? Right? Is there a higher story that you need to address? Okay. Your higher self is another myth. The higher self and the divine I am is always working for our highest good. So, as a whole, yes, but is it? No. There's wounded parts. The higher self and the divine I am, and I've worked a lot with people who we've done healings with this, and I always find out, so like I find out that if I talk to the higher self at divine I am, I say, divine I am, whoever it is, are you in any way involved in blah blah blah? And I say, in any way involved. So anyway, I'll get a truer answer. And if it's a yes, I say, are you creating this? Have you created this? And if it's a yes, then I know that part needs to be healed. And I call in the angels to do the healing, the guides to do the healings on that part of mine or someone else's higher self or divine I am. Then interesting thing happens. So we're doing about relationship with self right now. I'm still going through what I want to talk before I get into that, but we are getting into it. So if we do that healing on ourselves, here's what happens. Their life changes. So if someone has been very afraid all their life and afraid of the environment, feeling insecure, feeling that it's not safe, it is usually something that can be healed, often can be healed with the divine I am or the higher self or a divine self, finding out what where is the wound there. Now there are probably other wounds, like someone did something or something had happened that they registered also. So you go through the timeline. However, the wound, here's what happens if the wound is healed. Their life changes. Their life changes like immediately. Because that story, remember we were looking at the story, the lower level stories are healed, and most likely the higher level ones. And when you heal those stories, all those layers melt away. Along with those layers are other stories that you would have to live. And along with those stories are all these guides and spiritual signs that help you get through that story. So if you heal your divine self of the wounds, not to say that the divine self is not divine. It's not to saying that the higher self is not like your higher self and is doing everything for you to help you heal. What it's saying is there's a little part you had to heal. Over the big picture, it's not a huge thing. In your life, it might be a very, very big thing. So if you heal that, that lets go. And even your guides change. So I've seen, like, I've worked with people where their guides, they're like, wow, it's gone. And they do feel safe. And they're like, I just got new guides. And they're very happy about it and say, okay, now let's look at that. Ask your higher self, ask your divine I am, whatever we're working with. Did you create those guides? And the question, I'm going to say, if you're actually going to ask a question, are you involved in any way in creating those guides? And I bet you the answer is yes. And then you're like, what do we need to heal? So you're going to go higher, higher, higher. You're actually changing your life very significantly by doing these things I just said, by exploring them, by putting your consciousness there. This is not stuff people told me. This is stuff that my guides, like, this is what you got to do next. As I got higher and higher and higher, that's what I'm chipping away at. Um, okay. So if I talk about the heart, so once the things I tell you, once you know, you cannot unknow. Like you can ignore it, but you know better. At least you don't have to accept it all, but you heard it and you can decide, is this for me? Is this for me now or not? Maybe later, maybe not at all. Heart is a very sensitive topic for people. That's why, like, a lot of the things that I will say, I'm not going to, have a testimonial of someone who, like, had all these terrible things happen to them, and then, like, they're not going to want to necessarily talk about that. They don't want to bring back their stuff either. They want to heal and let it go. So the heart is a place where everything about you is your heart. Your mind is a reflection of your heart. Okay? So your mind will take your wounds and make them louder and make them external. That's your consciousness doing that. We call it the mind. So your life force energy flows through you and it flows through the wounds and kind of keeps them going all around. So we're looking externally. We're told always to look externally. We're looking at shopping. We need to go buy this stuff. We need to get this food. We need to get this latest thing. We need to have this kind of sex and that kind of sex. We need to be this type of human or this type of human. The mind is flowing, so your life force energy flows through there and keeps that active. And the way to heal that is, like, what I call the energetics, is like to activate yourself within. It's actually pretty loud. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. I know it's scary to go deep in your heart. It does not need to be very painful like it would have been before. If there's a lot of energy and there's a lot of beautiful methods and modalities, and I use them. I use the ones that work for me, and they're very efficient. You might know someone where it works for you. Just gonna check the stream here. Yeah, where it works for you or works for them, and is very efficient. What I'm saying is, if you haven't healed your heart, if you have the kind of list of things I said that are happening in your life, with the drama and whatever else, unable to move forward. That is heart. That's from heartbreak. That's from the past. So I was saying your heart has your life force energy flows through you. Your energy from your consciousness goes and creates your mind. Is there a mind if you were completely healed? Maybe, but I know um, a lot of the mind heals. As the mind heals, it becomes less. That energy goes back into your body, mind, spirit, and soul, and then it pushes out the next thing. That's why healing is a cycle. That's why you might think you healed something completely, and then poop, pushed out something else that you couldn't access at those higher levels or wasn't available at that time, and you're pushing it out. So I'm going to give you a little story. I live in Winnipeg in Manitoba. There's a white shell. White shell is a nature. It's a big area. People go camping and a lot of lakes. So I used to deliver air freight a long time ago, and I would go to the white shell by one direction and come back, either go around, completely around, which is a long way around, or go and then come back the same way. Well, I hadn't gone for probably 15 years, and I went there, and I was like all of a sudden remembering, I was like, oh yeah, this is where this is. And this is where this is over here. So that we're talking about trees and road and landscape, not buildings or anything. I was like, I remember this part. I remember this part. Then I realized that I was going in the opposite way that I had always gone. And as soon as I realized that, I felt my mind energetically all shift and connect to the other side of the road. And then I was getting all these like hits of like, oh, this is where this was. Here's what that was. So that was showing me that, and this is what this is how my life is. That's how I learned my lessons. I was showing me that your mind is trying to connect to things that are familiar. In my case, that's what it was doing, but it was completely wrong from where I thought it was. Then I thought, like, if I was in the woods, I could be stuck in the woods a long time with a mind that's wounded, with all these levels of my healing or that aren't healed, that are wounded, that have brought me there and keeping me there. So I'm just saying that's like a little story about the mind. I got some stories as I go through this, and they're pretty valuable stories. So I encourage you to uh, stick around if you can, because especially when you get to relationships. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. So being present, I went through that. All right, let's start with. So we're starting with relationship with ourself, or we're continuing with that, and talk about life force energy. So this is a very interesting topic, and the topics I give you are the areas I give you are kind of foundational. If you maybe I'll give you like 7 or 8 different foundational areas, but if you just use one of them, just one of them, you can, whether it'll be entanglement or life force energy, wherever I go, or even like what's on the screen right now about different layers, if you use just one of them, you can resolve a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff. So let's go for life force energy. Life force energy flows through me, and it flows through me, and it flows through me. But what's flowing through me is my own energy, my own life force energy. Now, I only have so much life force energy because as a soul, I have an energy body, and that energy is mine. Now, throughout whatever's happened in our path, the life of our soul, that flow of energy is not always um, flowing within me. Remember, I was saying wounds of the mind. If you have a wound, the energy is flowing to that part, and your mind's, doing whatever it is with it externally. So we're going to look at it a little bit deeper. Let's say I've been with a lover and I have energy that's flowing to them, and they have energy coming to me. So not all the energy within my energy body is mine, but as soon as I recognize that, I I either send back what's not mine and bring back what's mine. So all those things create issues of being disempowered and uh, lower energy and confusion and so on. I'm going to keep going through that. So your life force energy. Here's what happens. There's also like a lot of spiritual people who've learned how to manipulate energy. So they take energy of other people. So there's energy that we've lost, given away, that was taken. So, and there's energy that naturally lets go as until we heal the part of ourselves that stop that from happening. So you're gonna hear different things in the news. All of a sudden, oh, we thought you couldn't recover this part of the brain, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, we can. They studied it, and it's changing. And they're like, well, DNA is activated, or different things are happening. So those are things where you get older, and you've done some spiritual work, and also like that energy, life force energy is flowing through you and turning on some switches. It's turning on some switches for you. So um, the next thing with life force energy is stabilization. So if you work with someone, or if you even your significant other, or you're doing something that is not true to your heart, or if you had trauma and something that really hurt, or something that happened in your life that was hurtful, if you don't know how to heal that, if you don't have the tool to heal it, so I'd say myself 30 years ago, here's what I did before I got into healing. I would just like try to push it away. I would try to not focus on it too much, whether it was guilt or pain or whatever it was. I just keep trying to push it away till it leaves me alone. Push it away till it leaves me alone. And eventually, it could take a few days or a few weeks, depends on what it was. When I was a little kid, I would hold stuff on for a long time. Well, let's say after 2, 3 weeks, it's away, and then it can't come closer. Well, what happened is I use my life force energy to move it away. Energy in motion stays in motion. So that might be like, sounds like a good thing to do. I think it's a good thing to do until you know better, because it's hard to live with all that pain, and there's no reason to torture ourselves longer than we need to. So, but we have this life force energy holding on to some pain and managing it. But that just lowered our life force energy that we have for our life. You get the point? There's other things. If you have an attachment from the other side, grandma or grandpa died, or someone who died, and very sensitive topic for a lot of people, but people as they pass over, if they don't go back to the light, they need a source of light. So they need, and that's what happens on the other side of a lot of things. People are going to make an agreement. Okay, you can stay in my light. You help me here, I'll help you there. So they're helping you on the other side doing stuff like, oh, where's my keys? Well, they're right there, right? Like all these things that they might help you with, they might help you to remember stuff, but they are also taking your life force energy. They're making you older quicker than you need. And there's something, if they're attached with you, this is like healing about yourself. If they're attached with you, there is something that you need to heal within yourself, and there's something they need to heal. And then when that's done, you can send it back. So you can let that take 20, 30, 40 years, or you can heal that quicker. Today, there's ways to heal it within a couple hours. Now, and it's gentle, and you reclaim your life force energy. So I'm not telling everybody things to make you feel necessarily that they're all the happiest things. I'm telling you what actually works and why. And once you let go of whatever's attachment you have, then as you heal, like you don't miss it. You feel better. There's other things we do as a when we're younger and we are trying to deal with a situation and we don't know how to take care of it. At some level, we're inviting a being, which might be a gentle, loving being, to come and stay with us. That's why you have like often small child who has a invisible friend or whatever. That could happen. Doesn't mean that is what happened, but it could be something that's happened, and eventually that being that is attached just doesn't know how to go back anymore. So they need help to go back. All right. Most important relationship you have is one of with yourself, and have like you're the center of the universe. If you are, yeah, the strongest way, the best way to be centered, to be stabilized, is to have that energy flowing within you. And I mention that again because I've done a lot of healing with third eye, with crown, and now I actually help people embody the energy back in to themselves using the lower chakras, using physical movement. And that's so important. That is so important because it's so limiting if we just sit there and work with the modalities as we've been taught since the beginning of time. There's more that we have to do in order to feel good, in order to have the energy to do the things we want to do. In order to want to live in our body, we need to feed our body energetically too. And that's not going to happen with me meditating with my third eye. All right. I want to say this story. All right. So let's go to some foundational points. There are things that happen to us throughout our time, and it doesn't mean we created it at all. It doesn't mean the person who actually did it to you or participated in whatever event created it. It means that it's your responsibility to heal yourself. No matter what happened, it is your responsibility to heal yourself. No matter what happened, it's your responsibility to heal yourself. You have to take responsibility for it. And I'm guessing that you are. I am just reinforcing that. I'm saying that yes, that is true. So where we feel that we don't have power, that we're disempowered, that that the universe is very complicated, we can find as we go within ourselves the next step that we need to do. Sometimes, if you've never done it before, it could take a few days or a few weeks or a few months, but you will start to get the answers. They are within you. Your soul knows it. You have to connect within yourself and you'll get it. And if you feel you've tried and it just doesn't work, that's another part of you that needs to heal. So I have stuff for that. I got Sunday sacred Sunday meditation where you connect within yourself. I've done different things like soul vision quests, but there's a lot of different ways you connect within yourself. And the way I used to do it was writing. I would just write. I'd write, and I'd go in nature. I'd go places where I had more energy. And when you have more energy, the answers will, like, you're going to get answers. I'll go back to that image from the higher levels. So instead of getting the answer at the lower level where the drama is, you'll get the answers from a higher level. And if you're still not getting the answers, then go find a healer who will give you an answer at a higher level. Okay. So, in order to heal yourself, I do a lot of observing energies. And by that I mean I will observe and say, and I don't go in a person's field. Now, there might be entanglement, which we'll talk about later, but entanglement keeps me involved with that other person. So maybe I'll talk about entanglement after. When I'm observing, I just open up like the field of the universe. I look at it and go like, is this person good for me? Will I grow with this person? Will it be hurtful? Is there something I need to know? What are you not telling me? If you don't ask, what are you not telling me? And you just say, is there something I need to know? And you're just going to say, no, there's nothing you need to know. Go. Soul wants you to go there. Let's go. But you need to protect yourself. You need to understand you're not going in a situation that is not good for you. So this works for like when you're healing yourself, or but it also works for relationships with others. Obviously, am I going to and watch? Is the light white and clear, or is it darker? Does it feel lighter? Does it feel heavier? And then when you're like, oh, it feels lighter, observe some more. Come back and observe, because as you put your consciousness to the reflection of you, your universe, it's going to melt away stuff. So there might be a nice, beautiful, white, clear layer, and then there might be some darkness hiding behind it. Then there'll be some more light behind it. So that's how I did it. I did that for a long time. That's how I can quickly look at someone and go, oh, they got this, they got that, they got that, they got that. I see the layers in between. You can do it too. It didn't happen overnight, but I'm telling you, you're going to live a long time. You're going to live a long time. And the more healing you do on yourself, the better your intuition becomes. And the more life force energy you have back, and you could start recovering parts of yourself: mind, body, spirit, soul, and heart. Body, too. If you follow your journey, some of the pains in your body heal. When you close off that part of whatever you're doing, it will restore part of your energy and you'll feel better. That's what's happening to me. Okay. The journey is happening for you, not against you. Even though it might be very painful at times, it can only do what you're supposed to do. And it is very, again, you don't have to buy what I'm saying. But for me, everything's decided. Every moment is decided when I get to the lower levels. I'm going to show you again. There's so many levels. So let's say we're at the lower level of drama. And I have less drama in my life. Things are very good. But every person I speak to, every moment I have with someone or that I don't, those are all planned. If I'm supposed to buy a car or if I'm not supposed to get it, that's planned. I had to go through it and heal the reasons I got it or not got it, and either move on or get the vehicle. And that was it for that, that lesson at that moment. Same for house, same for person, same for dating many people. What's the lesson? What do you need to heal? Move on, and then you go up, up, up. Find someone better at a higher level, at a higher vibration. All right. When you are not present, you cannot absorb. So if I just said something and all you saw was like blah, 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 you weren't present, right? We talked about that. I have that. I have that when I talk to certain people. It's just too much for me. I'm talking family members. I just kind of space out. But uh, when you space out, you kind of go other place. It's kind of like a dream too. But when you go to that space out, you're going to another place. Your spirit is going to open and do things at that other place. So you're not just like procrastinating for 10 years and you did nothing. You actually did a lot with the energy you had at that time. When you have more energy, procrastination goes faster. In other words, you have more energy that goes towards whatever you're working on when you're spaced out, and spirit is doing more. And when you come back, you're on to the next thing. You're like, oh, I just checked back in. I checked out, I checked back in. Just like a dream. No difference, except a dream could be awake or could be sleeping. If you're sleeping, if you're sleeping, you have more energy than when you're awake because it takes cycles to be awake. That's why sleeping restores you. But you could be in a dream where um, you're going into the astral and you're fixing stuff. The astral is not a beautiful place to be. You don't need to be there. But there are times you'll notice you wake up, you're like, whoa, that was a bad dream. That was a weird dream, or that was a freaky dream. I remember this house, but the closet wasn't there, and the table wasn't over here, and this and that. So in that layer of your mind that we're looking at, different layers, that you are in your dream, you're seeing different things that your mind is putting together. Your mind is there to heal things, to help you heal things. But sometimes you only have a little part of this left, a little part of that left, a little part of that left. It puts it all together. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So it comes back to what I said before. It is about healing. You are here to heal yourself. You are here to heal the energy of the story. So you're here to heal the story, but you do that properly by observing the energy. And you know if the story's healed, if the energy is gone. So if someone says, I've healed that already, I'm like, well, I picked it up. I picked it up. If I picked it up, there's something that needs to be addressed. And that is true. They might have healed what they could at that time, or they might have healed as much as they could at that time, or they healed whatever they had access to, but there could be an echo. An echo could be from the past where it wasn't completely cleaned up, and it's still sending those vibes out. It's still sending, and that's called an echo. It's still sending out that energy. Okay. If someone says they haven't healed completely something, the energy could be in their aura, or it could be somewhere where whoever was doing the healing, which is normal, didn't have access to, or ran out of time and didn't go as deep as they can, or as you can now. So if you think you healed something, you healed what you needed to at that time, but there's a little bit more now. And there's also the mind that puts up a bunch of stuff together, right? Gets all these little parts of you for healing, sets it up so you focus on there. And it might be a story that's similar or a story that's slightly different. So now I'm going to, speaking of stories, I'll give you about patterns. I went through, so when I was a healer and broke and had no money and not even, I had social assistance for a year, but even that was very difficult to get. So for about 6 years, I moved once a year, and a couple times I moved like more than once a year. It was very difficult to find a place. Here's what I noticed about patterns. I was talking about the mind before switching. Here's another thing. If I go look at an apartment, same thing as going on a date with someone else. If I go, my mind is going to go, oh, here's all the good things. Here are all the things that are not so good. Um, and picture, can they see me there or not? And all my fears about, do I have enough money? How am I going to move? Blah, blah, blah. So that is a whole bunch of stuff that happens every time I moved. Well, since I did not have any money, I did not have any influence. Money changes a lot. Money changes your life where you don't need to accept everything if you have money. You can choose. You lose the option to choose without money. That's why, something so difficult for healers uh, with the belief systems about money. Getting back to finding a place. So I'd go find places and I got rejected many times. So much so that I went to one place once and um, it was at the last minute. The social worker said, go here. I heard someone just moved out. So I went to see the guy and I said, and I was so beaten down by then. I said, it was a two-bedroom place. And I said, well, I'm on welfare. And he said, that's fine. And I said, and I've been divorced. And I have two children. And every time I said that, it just turned everything against me. He just looked at me and he said, yeah, I've been through that too. If you want the place, it's yours. And that was it. Like something changed. Spirit opened up something for me. Now, I stayed there a few months and then I moved to somewhere else as part of my path. So every time I moved to a different place, I had to go through this process again, but I was getting stronger. However, I realized that I would not get the apartment, no matter how much I worked, I always got the apartment the day before or 2 days before I was scheduled to move out. It just didn't happen before. And when this happened, like by the third time, I started realizing there was a pattern there. The pattern was also I did not have support to do this because my family thought I was not well because I was a healer. Plus, I had mental illness at the time too. So put those together, they thought, and I still knew what I was doing, but I had some, episodes where the energy was like, it was just very confusing for me, and I talked it out. And once you tell family stuff, they don't forget. So when I moved, I did not have a place, but I had to have a U-Haul. So within 2 to 4 weeks before, I'd always book my U-Haul, and I would go like, I'm gonna take the truck, yes. And they say, where are you moving to? I don't know. What happened was, so this one time, I could not find a place. And the day before I'm moving out, because I had my stuff packed, I'd packed my stuff. I had my two kids. I packed my stuff. I start packing a month before. The next day I was gonna have the U-Haul, and all of a sudden a woman calls me, and she said, and I had called her like a few days before, but she called me. She said, sorry, we're out of town. If you want to come by and see it, you're the first one, come by. So I went by, and it's a very beautiful place. And she said, if you want it, you can have it. And I said, well, she said, when do you want it? I said, I'll take it tomorrow. And she said, you, she said, well, because they were moving from their house to another house. They had many houses. She says, we weren't planning on moving all the furniture out for a couple days. And she said, unless you want to keep the furniture. If you want the furniture, you can move in tomorrow. So I said, perfect. I don't have furniture. I'm in. All right. So I went through all this worrying. I moved. And the other interesting thing is when I was paying the deposit, all of a sudden I had two people who came with me who actually lent me the money on the spot, and they got it back within a few weeks. So now I was working full time again, and I had the place. But then I stayed there. It was only 1 year. She was going on a sabbatical on a long trip. Then I went to my next place. So my next place, same deal. Couldn't find a place because the market here is in Winnipeg, difficult to find places in the lower income bracket. And for renting, maybe lower or middle, but it was still like not terribly, but not the greatest. I found it, but see, if my mind is noticing the place right away and I know I'm moving in, then my mind has settled. But every time I went to see another place and it's envisioning the new place and so on and so on and so on, it's what I call a pattern. Every time that happens, I go through a healing of not getting it, of all the things I connected to, and all the things that were wrong, and all the things that were right. And I did that many, many times for many years. So that was another time, like I'm talking about, I got the place a couple days before, I moved in, and then when I moved to the next place, here's what started happening. I was moving to the next place, and it's a month before I booked my U-Haul, but that's all I booked. I even open up, like I go check on the classifieds for a place, and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna stop. I am not looking anymore. I know what happens right before. So the night before, and I think I had to, that day I was getting the U-Haul. The night before I got the place. The night before again, I got it. And that place just became available that day. And that's happened like I just stopped looking. So I got out of that pattern. That pattern was closing off for me. I got out of that pattern. And that pattern worked pretty well on a yearly cycle because energy is coming back together the same way it unfolded. However, it fell apart was on a yearly cycle and is coming back together on a yearly cycle. That's what it would seem. I don't know if that's 100% true, but that is a pattern. You have patterns the same way in relationships. Okay? Well, everything I said about the mind, going to check it out. Is it okay? How about the fear? What about the good things? All the worrying. If you have the energy and the know how to heal that, you start healing those patterns faster. Could be for a job, could be with having children, could be children leaving the house, empty nest, could be parents getting sick or dying, could be losing a friend, could be a marriage. There are patterns. Watch the patterns. Watch the patterns. Doesn't mean you need to live the whole pattern like I did year after year after year, because now I have a lot of energy to heal all that quickly for myself and for others. But when I was going through it, I had to clear out all this yuckiness. All right. Spirit controls the path and tempo. I was saying every year I'd have a different place. But let's say spirit wasn't involved. Of all the layers, I'll put that image back up. Energy only works at a certain speed. When I do healing my hand on someone, the energy moves at about, I would say, like about this fast. A couple of kilometers per hour, probably 2, 3 kilometers an hour. Now, energy, that's hands on. It's flowing, channeling through. But sometimes it can go faster, sometimes it go really slow. But, so those are predictable things. Those are predictable things that layers above us can predict and know where our healing is. But the story, it's possible you don't heal something completely before you move on. And now I would say that's controlled by spirit. All of a sudden a door will open. Remember I said, that guy said, like I gave him my story about the apartment, and I said I am like I got 2 children, and I'm on welfare, and he's like, that's good, don't worry about it, just move in. Like very welcoming, super nice person to me. Had so many people lined up because he lived right beside a hospital. Those are like very places that are like a lot of nurses want them, or different people who want to be close to the hospital. But he gave it to me for whatever reason. That was my path, my destiny. Another thing is you have the body. So you have the body, ultimately you have the power. It might not feel that way because we have wounds. If we have wounds, but if we heal our wounds, then we control their ourselves. Is it control? Well, you want to get to the place that you don't have to control, that it's more stability. But you have the body, you have you can override a lot of things. When it's the right time, you will. You build up to it, the patterns change, your energy is more like one wave going the direction you want it to. And you'll notice that things will go more your way. So let's talk about healing ourselves a little bit more. Entanglement. So we have entanglement in a very important concept. Entanglement determines how you feel. It determines how much energy you have. It determines what you do. And it's also determining it for the other person, place, or thing. You might think, well, how does that determine it for a place or a thing? Well, if you're entangled with something, it's connecting to people who are entangled with it also. But let's talk about entanglement with um, children. For example, if you have children and the child is very small and you have to watch the child, they're born, they come from you, even if they're adopted, they become part of you, especially if you don't have enough energy to be aware of the things I'm going to tell you. And by that is entanglement is a connection from body to body. It's not a connection up to source. And what that does is it reduces your life force energy. So there's entanglement that we use. Okay, I got to make sure the child is not going to put their fingers in the outlet, in the wall socket, in the outlet. So I'm aware of that. As a child, if I'm sitting there talking to you like this, and a child is sitting, very small child sitting beside me, and goes to fall, any parent will know, like, you're probably, I just grab it, don't even look. I'm watching for that child, even though I might be talking to someone. Doesn't mean I catch them every time, but I did. So, entanglement, entanglement. So, but as I get older, do I need to be watching them? No, I don't. What happens if I can't let go? Then I have this empty nest syndrome. But what happens to the child if I am doing something for them? If my energy is managing them, my life force energy is being compromised, and so is theirs. They cannot fully come into themselves because my energy is there. So I'm controlling them. If I'm controlling them, I'm living their life. I'm worrying for them, and my worrying is connected with them and it's making them worry more. So I found that most things to heal, even if I is the entanglement. And okay, I'll add entanglement gives you a problem with boundaries. If you're like trying to protect yourself and you're not able to, no matter how much people told you, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do that. If you have entanglement, which we pretty well all do, I don't even know someone who does not. Someone who does not, that's just kind of how it is until you heal out of it. I still have some, but I actively heal it as much as I can when I notice it. If you have entanglement, you're living your life and you're living someone else's life partially. As a healer, when you do a healer, if you're a healer, every time you do healing on someone, you create a connection with that person. And you might know this lifetime that you have to remove that connection. But maybe you didn't know when you started doing this, or maybe you didn't have the energy to do it cleanly, or maybe in a past lifetime you could not disconnect or you weren't shown that. And entanglements are not just with healers, they're with lovers. So with lovers, you have like pretty hardcore drilled in cords connecting with chakras and spine and the head and and back of them, and a whole bunch of stuff. Past life. I always mention this, it's very important. Someone's walking by and in this lifetime and you see that person and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, like I can't get them out of my mind, or I really enjoy them. That's entanglement. That could be entanglement from, uh, it could be from trauma with that person, or it could be from, we were peasants and we were like, everybody's at the orgy, right? So it's like there's all these chords all around. So you go like some people just say, well, oh yeah, look, we're in soul groups. There, no, you're just corded. Like if you actually heal yourself, you probably would not be involved in too many communities unless that community was really good for your health and benefit. Unless you were growing out of that community or growing with that community. So the way to, I'll just give a little example. If you want to, what I tell for people, starting off, besides healing the part of yourself that might invite the entanglement, is to sit down and pull that energy back with a perfect filter. Tell your guides to create a perfect filter for you and pull that energy back through that filter. Just have it clean and cleansed properly, 100%, before it integrates back into you. You could bring back a lot of your life force energy. I had my mentor that was like, she never explained it that way, but she's like, you still have cords to like all the people you done healings to. So it wasn't all, but a lot of cords. She said I could see a lot of cords. I did that for weeks, just pulling back energy. And when you pull it back, you need that filter because you pick up some pretty crappy stuff from the other person also, and it hits the filter and drops off. It's important to do that because if you don't filter it out, you're bringing back the negative stuff or the reason that you connected with them in the first place, and you're bringing back part of them, and then you have to like cycle that through yourself. So you're going to get have a reaction, and you might be living part of their stuff. You don't want like their liver, part of their liver. You just want your own stuff. You don't want part of their heart pain. You just want your own stuff. So when someone says my heart goes out to them, there's a connection that goes out to help that person in their time of pain. And you'll feel their pain too, and they get better. But if you don't pull back that connection, um, you're going to stay connected with them. And what they're feeling, it's like all of a sudden you have guilt or you're emotional, you don't know why, is because it's all these people you're connected with. So for me, there's no reason to be connected that way. If they actually, you remove your energy from them, they actually, and you clean it up, they actually have room to like uh, live their own path themselves without your thoughts. And you might think, well, my heart went out to them and helped them, but whatever that was on the life of your soul, is they're not the same place today. They need to be able to uh, they need to be able to be themselves without your energy within them, and you need to be okay with that. If you are, if you're not, leave it there until you're okay with it. All right? You have to go based on feeling it's right. It could be, I know if someone's working with someone or someone's with someone who's very ill, there might be a lot of you going to that person. But just recognize the more you go, your energy goes to that person, the less life force energy you have, and the more things you're going to share. There are better ways to do it. I just want you to know there are better ways to do it. That's entanglement. That is like, I said, that's one concept. If you look at that concept, you can look at it whether it's yourself entangled with collective consciousness, entangled with collective unconsciousness, entangled with a deity, entangled with your neighbor, with your children, with your spouse or significant other, with politics, with the news, with the bad things going on in the world. There is entanglement. So let's say you have entanglement. I'm not going to say any part of the world, but you haven't. Let's say you have entanglement and you feel bad every time these people get bombed. Well, it comes down to, for you, you might help those people, but does feeling bad, does that connection help you or bring you down? Is it going to help them or bring them down? Is there something you can do to help them instead of giving part of yourself? You can give part of yourself, but not energetically. We want you complete because you can do more if you're complete. You can help a lot more people if you're complete. Okay. Um, so I didn't go through this, but let's take a step back. So all healing, the way I look at healing, there's a timeline, and in that timeline, I'll get my guides to bring me to an area of that timeline, and then we'll look at, where did this start? And where it started, we're looking at the wound. So we're trying to go a little bit before the wound, but it's healing the wound. If you don't heal the wound, what happens is, along with the wound, there's fragments of consciousness. So let's say someone's in a car accident and you hear like, oh, there was a big accident or whatever, but everyone's fine. No one was hurt. Well, physically, they might be fine, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually, not so good. Maybe, maybe not. There's a, so if you go back in that timeline and you start doing the healing, you can actually heal for the reason that started. I'm going to go back, and there might be a soul fragment there too. So a person might have fragmented there, and that part, you clean it up, bring it back. Now, if someone is saying, hmm, I'll go back to, I had 2 points, and one I forgot. So let's take a look at back. We'll look at the wound. There's a wound, but along with the wound, yeah, here's what it is. Along with the wound, there's a fragment of energy. And just like you are made to survive and have security, a fragment of energy is made to survive and have security. So I'll say this again. A fragment of your energy is made to survive and have security. So what does it do? It finds light. It finds the brightest light it can, or something that it can attach to, the highest level it can to feel comfortable. And its job is to survive. So what it's going to do is give you an answer, probably, because if you're really struggling with something and you're like, I don't know, I'm stuck, is because this fragment of consciousness is there to survive. So it's giving you an answer that is keeping you stuck. It's not giving you, hey, this trauma happened, and if you heal here, we'll be okay. No, it's the part of trauma, and it saved your life by, might have saved your life or saved you by suffering by cutting that connection with you. It's never cut, okay? It's always a string to it, but it severed that connection and went and is doing this song and dance so that you never figure out what the wound is. That is what happens. So knowing that, we can wrap it up with light and do different things and heal it and then reintegrate. But if you're wondering why you're stuck, if you're wondering why you have such an intelligent mind, yet you can't figure out something that's keeping you in a certain place, or you can't figure out why this pattern keeps happening, it's a wound, and it is part of this consciousness, yours and probably collective consciousness, all together, happy because they have energy to hang on to, and they're listening to what you said at some level, say, like, sever this away from me because I need to relax. I need this pain to go away. So whether it's a million years ago or 10 days ago, it's going to wherever, it's, you could find it along the timeline. It's keeping you from being in the present. It is, uh, as it's doing its song and dance, and that maybe I say song and dance because some are like not the nicest, but some are okay. As they're doing their thing, you'll notice the behavior of a person or your behavior changes. You'll notice the actions a person takes is based on the wound, not being able to get to the wound. They're doing everything to try to figure out how to address this, but the mind is giving them something else. Distraction, distraction. Let's go shopping. Let's have sex. Let's find another cheat on someone to cheat on, make some more drama over here. Let's eat some food. I need some chocolate. Me I need some sugar, but not, high fructose, whatever. I'm gonna go have this certain sugar. So it's like my mind takes me there to a certain place and then kind of focus on like, hey, wouldn't you want some sugar? And he's like, I think I want to resolve that. How about some sugar? But that doesn't work. You need to clean the you need to clean the sink today. You need to do the oven. Is the car, did you check the air on the tires? So your mind is going to do this song and dance, going to keep you away, keep you away, keep you away. So the way for that is just like you want find someone who's intuitive and who will identify and find that wound with you and do the healing. I had something else, but it's gone. All right. Entanglement leads to boundary issues. Boundary issues, we talked a little about that, but in addition, boundary issues are me knowing something. Just because I have spiritual abilities, I don't need to know everything. So if I'm finding out things about people that I really don't care to, or that like I wake up and my guides give me a list of a bunch of stuff. Those are like boundary issues also. Like they might be giving me things to heal, which are valid, but you got to weigh it and look at the light of it and go, did I ask you to go there? Where are you getting this information from? Because it's okay to get it from the field. And if you're working with someone, it's okay to go and back in their field, they're giving you permission to do it. But you don't want to be in everybody's stuff. So there's a boundaries issue. And what I found is someone else might have a boundary issue with you and they're coming into your field. But if you heal yourself over time, your boundaries get stronger and then they cannot. If you heal the reason in yourself that that is happening, then they cannot access the same way. So sometimes that's not like a super quick healing for those because it could go back long way in terms of many things that happened of darkness in the past, but they can heal, and you do have peace of mind after that in a better field. So I only say that because my first few years was that. Now I kind of just attach to like I see what the negative energy in someone is, and I take that and I just have it go to the light in a nice way. Hang on. So distraction I talked about, food, sleeping, someone who's got to connect with everyone everywhere. Uh, your environment impacts your own personal healing. Your food, the quality of food, the vibration in your food, the movement you do. The movement is an important one also. You might not feel like you want to get up and do things. Again, that's where the energetics come in. The energetics come in and they help you. You need to have a certain amount of food in your body in order to be able to function properly. So if you wake up and you don't feel like doing anything, you woke up at 9 in the morning and it's 2 or 3 in the afternoon, you still don't feel like doing anything. I know there's probably like there's stuff going through your head, but there's also food. You need the nutrition. And there's so many excuses not to have it. I get it. I don't feel like getting up, going to get it. Put a glass of water, put something in a glass that you can have that gives you energy, or have an apple or something. Just put it there beside you so you get up. Someone can do all the healing they want on you, but if you don't have anything feeding your cells, you're going to have trouble. You're going to have trouble. All right. So the things that bring us stability, right? Being grounded, environment, nature grounds us. Um, Learning to have trust. You learn to have trust as you go through the journey, as you release the things that kept you from being able to trust in yourself or to trust in God. Now, trusting in God is trusting in yourself. Doesn't mean there isn't a God, but if you don't trust in yourself, you're blocking off part of your divinity. All right. I did mention, I didn't say it exactly this way, but if you want to be aware of this, is if you're within embodying, if you bring up your energy, and those who participate in my meditations, they know that we do the activations, the energetics. If you bring up your energy, you're working more with your heart. Now, when you're doing meditations with third eye, you're still working with your heart. But again, we're connecting with the lower level chakras. I'm not, most people, no problem with the higher level ones, okay? It's embodying, using the lower level ones. That's so critical. But that is activating the heart and activating those higher levels, as I have it on the screen, the higher level of energy, high dimensional. Now, if you're with your heart, you're in the present. You're getting answers from the present. If your mind is out questioning a bunch of stuff, that is not the present anymore. So you can see why I say be in your body. Now, there's a combination of that. You could say, well, do breath work. Breathe, 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 right? So breath work, there might be, I know there's experts in it and some are really good at it, but it's not for everyone. And what I say for that is do what works for you. If that breath work works for you, do it. If you get stuck, look at what else you need. So me, if I do breath work, I don't do much of it, but I do it in part of the things I do. So if I do qigong, I do the things that help me. If I do, I haven't taken Tai Chi, but let's say I found something on YouTube and I'm like, whoa, this is really helpful. I do that. That brings up the energy in my body. Now I have like a whole precision energetics I do. But what I'm telling you, like if you don't follow that, follow what you do. Uh, you need to pick and choose the things that work for you, the things that resonate for you, the things that are for you only. So they might be not the same that, your lifetime friend has done, but and you've done together, but maybe you're not pulled to it, or maybe you are. But either way, I always take the good uh, in whatever I find, and I put all those together, and that's what makes me move. And an important part of that is to raise your vibration. So by raising your vibration is raising your frequency and your energy and put those together. That's your vibration. Higher vibration attracts better things in your life and lets go of wounds and things that have no value for you. Increase your vibration. In the old days, we did it with initiations and attunements, and they might still be called that, but I don't usually get something, initiation or attunement in the same way anymore. It's more like done energetically at different levels, like you're seeing on the screen instead of in person. But other ways to raise your vibration, like I did 28-day Ayurvedic cleanse in India, and my energy after about a week and a half just cranked up because they were just eating foods that are raising my vibration and cleaning out my energy body. Plus, we're doing yoga and different things. So that does it. I know that there are other ways. Stop drinking alcohol, slow it down. Every time you drink it, there's an impact on your body, it lowers your vibration. Smoking, the same thing. Altered state attracts things that connect to you, and they might open up and do wonderful things, but you have to be careful. They might attract things that are very disturbing, and then someone's got to do healing for that. I prefer, if you're going to do that, to do it more organic way of healing within yourself than to bring in a substance to alter. But it works for some people. I just don't do it. Okay? No problem if someone who did. If it works for them, that's fine. When I do a healing with someone, I'm just pointing out things that I'm being guided to say also, right? I do a healing with someone. My guides, I observe that person, but I observe the guides. I observe my guides, the ones that come within my ability at whatever level. I observe my guides, I observe their guides. And there's some training that goes on in between. There's some discussions that goes on between the guides, and they're like kind of helping each other. Your divine self is guides, whether you work with guides or not, or you think you can access your guides or not, they are there. And as an intuitive, my guides will talk to guides, and sometimes it's your own guides that will tell me what I need to do. So let's say you have guides that are saying, "Hey, like look at the liver's got a problem," and they might be telling you there's a problem with the liver, and you might have gotten a message or just it dropped off. Like you're like, "Oh, okay," and then you forgot about it. Well, if I'm there all of a sudden, like I'm getting a message, I'm getting liver, 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 look at the liver. So I start talking about it. That is how the intuition works in many ways. We're looking at parts of energy. We might be working with spirit to get a higher level. Spirit might tell me what to go, where to go, but a lot of times I get it directly also. So, yeah, I just thought I'd throw that in for whoever needed to hear that. Um, all right. Another thing, we talked about um, boundaries. We talked about empowerment, and although I didn't say that, but empowerment is bringing back your energy. Healing your stuff and bringing back your energy empowers you. Taking the energy that's not yours, giving it back empowers you. Cleaning your field up, like I said, Ayurvedic, but there's a lot of different ways. Go to a sacred space and connect with the energies. It'll raise your vibration also. All right. Another thing is bindings. Bindings is so these are topics that you might hear a little bit somewhere, but I don't know if you're going to hear like I explain it because no one's told me this. There are bindings. Bindings are in everything. If you look at older buildings and they have gargoyles, gargoyles are like try to protect that building spiritually, but they're also binding you. You go to a lot of like Sedona, there's people that hook up to the energies and are binding you to like enjoy your energies. There's a lot of beautiful things, but there are bindings. So if you're like, at some point you get above that, you get above those people, that's what, your vibration is higher, but bindings happen. And we are bound to religion when we were born. And by that I mean, so if I go look back at the Catholic Church, because that's what I was bound to, there are bindings that they bind you, and I've seen the stuff about exorcism, but they will bind you to like Jesus's foot of Jesus's cross, or they'll bind you to different things about Catholic, and they will unbind from all the other religions. So there's all these religions that bind you, and then the one religion that I grew up with removes all those bindings and binds you to theirs. So everybody's like getting a lot of some tithing there. They're saving you, the other ones are saving you, these guys are saving you their own way. You want to go above that. You don't need the bindings. So the bindings are your thoughts can bind you. When you when you love someone, it's usually loving thoughts, but I'll get back to love spells in a sec. But if you're saying something negative about someone, you have a wound, and so do they. And there is binding that's happening. You got to heal that. There's bindings that happen. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about, I said a love spell. So let's say, I'm not saying anyone here does that, but here's what happens. So I look at someone and they have migraines. It's energy that is circling through their top of their head and is going back to the person who created the spell. Even if the person created the spell for someone else, there is still a connection within all parties involved. So if you think about it, let's say it's one person created a spell on another person. So a spell is simply like we create spells by speaking things that when we haven't healed, remember I said there's chords and different things, we create things and we connect with people and we bind ourselves with them. But if we heal properly, the energy is going to source and we're not doing that. Now, in order to get to heal properly, I look at the energy of the binding between, it's usually two people, but it could be, let's say it's a third, but I'm going to go with two. By a third, I meant like someone who's doing it on behalf of them. So if I go with the two and I got the binding and I look at that, so let's say both people were 16 years old and this spell was done. Well, once in motion, it's active. Now it might slow down between lifetimes, but the energy is still there. So if those people connect again, that energy is moving, moving, moving. What happens if one person's 50 years old and the other person's 5 years old, and the 50 years old has a bunch of trauma and likes little children? There's still that binding. There's still that binding. So if you're wondering, why does that person like that person? There's binding there. That's from the past. And as disturbing as it might sound, if you realize that there's binding, you can heal those. You could free your soul, you could free yourself. So the binding is very important not to do that on purpose. And if it's done, well, now's your time to heal it. Let it go. We currently heal by pressure. Not convinced it needs to be that way, but by pressure is like by pain. So by certain pain, we if we have pressure, so yeah, when you're healing something, If you're healing with someone else, I guess we're going to more into relationship with others now, but with lovers. So if you're healing with someone else and you have bindings, we want to heal that. But the way we heal things are with pressure. So in other words, our energy reconnects with the energy of whomever we were with in the past. And if we connect with those energies, let's take this off screen. All right. So we reconnect with someone and situations will come up like they did. The same patterns, the same situations will come up with the person we connect with. We essentially continue from where we stopped healing with that person in the past. And the reason that happens is because in order to restore your energy, you need to go back to where the wound happened. And if anyone who knows there's a wound, you're not going to want to go. Like if that person last, a lifetime ended your life for whatever reason, that wound is there and is very real. And you don't want to go back with that person. You might have been lovers, but this is why I talk about the lust phase. Here's what happens. I um, Spirit takes that negative energy and makes it sexual. So you have a strong attraction. So people get together and they make love and they're moving out all this pain. And they don't know, but that there's that lust energy, there's that strong connection and love energy. And it's actually like if you actually look at the energy that's going back and forth, it is it's very, very high sexual vibration energy, but it's masking energy of pain. So that's how things heal with someone. That is one way things heal. With someone, with a lover you've been with before, um, even if it ended up badly before. So spirit does that with a lot of stuff. Spirit will do that even if you're not lovers with them. It'll do that with two women. It'll do that with two men. It'll do that. It'll take that painful energy and switch it if it can to usually a sexual energy, even though like these people are not going to get together, but somehow they're going to like each other instead of hating each other. I see that all the time. I also see for relationships, like I remember I was working in a place and there's a woman, this happened a few times. I've seen this happen a few times, but with different people. But I've done a lot of like sexual healing on myself, I've done a lot of healing. So my body has more capacity to bring in healing energy and to process energy. While someone who doesn't is going to feel something a lot more, if that makes sense to you. So I could see the parts of a woman that not really attracted to, but it just goes and it releases her history with me. So as soon as it does that, she feels this strong intensity, and I feel I'm like, oh, this is like not good. I don't know how long this will last, but this one went for I don't know 2 3 weeks, and then it'll let go. But at that point, that person is going to think. So I'm a guy, so I say a woman, right? So that's who I'm attracted to. But until she heals her history with me to the level that we needed to, these things are going to keep releasing. And when it releases, there's energy goes back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. So all of a sudden, I walk up and I say something because I picked up energy that came into me and I say something to her. I'm acting out that energy. She'll act it out. We move on, so on, so on, so on. So that is one way that you heal with people. That doesn't matter who it is. That happens until you're going to source, no longer the connections that way. That takes a little bit of time to get to, but that does happen. I point that out because it's so important. You start realizing that as soon as you connect with someone, no matter who it is, the parts continue from where they left off. So if they were sexual, but you're not in a sexual relationship, they're still connecting. So you're wondering why you feel this for that person. They're still doing their thing. Energy doesn't care how you feel necessarily. They're going to do what they're supposed to do at different levels. Are we back? At different levels, like on the screen. Different levels, they're going to do their thing. So I was doing like doing healings for a person. That's when I go in person, and she was she was coming up, driving in her car, and I could see the energy swirling around her, very strong, and it just pulled like it's a strong sexual energy. And then we were talking, and then I saw part of her jump out of her and jump in my heart. And as soon as it jumped in my heart, all of a sudden I really liked her a lot. And I'm like, hey, that's not fair. I said that to her, that's not fair. And she's like, what? I said, this is what just happened. So we resolved that, but took a while to resolve, but it let go. And it is how she connected with people, and it's how I connected with her, and probably different people, right? All of a sudden, I'm meeting someone, I didn't think too much of them, and all of a sudden, it's like all these things are reconnecting and are going, what's going on? So when I see something like that, it's showing me that it's a part to heal, and I've seen that happen many times before. Could be with someone, lover or not. So I've seen those things go back and forth in the heart. It forces things to heal. It forces that drama to happen, and then you move on. And you always try to do it the most ethical way. And for me is to just like I had asked God for healing. What do I need to do? Right? Like this lifetime, I don't want to be acting this stuff out as much as possible. I try to heal it, and you can. You can. What else? All right. I'm going to talk about community for a second. Let's look at the time. Talk about community. Community is in spirituality or religion. Now, spirituality, some people are in religion, many people are in religion and they're very spiritual. Some people, um, yeah, I'm going to take a step back. What you believe in determines what you could connect to. Not entirely, but it does. So, what are you shooting for? I'll start with that. What are you shooting for? And I explain it like this. If I'm going to cross the river and I got to run, and the river is like 10 meters, 10 meters long, unlikely, unlikely to cross it, unlikely to be able to jump, right? But not impossible, but probably not. But what am I aiming for? Am I aiming for halfway down the river or three-quarters of the river? I'm still aiming for all the way across. And I say that's very important because energetically, I'm going to go bring up this picture again. If you are working with the lower levels and you think, whoever it is thinks that that is just where life is, and a lot of people think that's where it is, bring me the money. I'll psychologically say everything that, they will give it over. I know it works if it does that way, blah, blah, blah. This is how you sell, so on, so on, so on. If that is where you're working, that's where you're going to stay. But if you connect higher, that's what I mean about the crossing the river. Go as far as you can. Put in a belief or use beliefs that will take you further. If the religion, I'll take it back to my religion. If the religion has all this stuff in it where they've done terrible things, but yet they're not resolving it, and even if they are resolving it, you only have 100 years, maybe 120 years, maybe 130, I don't know, or more. They're probably not going to resolve all the darkness. And if they do, are they able to connect, help you connect at a higher vibration? The answer is, as someone who comes in to the world, we have a high vibration, but there's things that community, whether it's religion or spirituality, uh, will connect you in a way that helps you. But community also will keep you where you are. And you have to recognize that because it's so difficult to let go for people who are entangled with this, where they don't want to lose their friends. And as soon as they start doing something different, or other people see that they're pulling away, because if you're pulling away, if you're getting your energy and you're healing your stuff, all the people that you're connected with are going to go like, oh, where did Bob go? Like, how come? Or not good enough for you, Bob? I thought we were all in this misery together. So, or this love together. I thought we were all staying at the same level together, Bob. What's happening? So, you might not be popular, but what I found happens for a lot of people is they actually, whether you want to let go or not, your path will determine. Like if your path is really to leave wherever you are, that pressure will build up and eventually you'll do it, or you'll get so many openings, or your guides will really push you along and do it. And then you got to find a different community or none. Every time I found a community, I ended up leaving eventually. More solo. And now I like, uh, even my quantum healing community, that like I'm not even involved in them anymore. It just like did not have the energy anymore that I needed. I had some good stuff, some really good stuff, some stuff that got me to this point, but it's not getting me to the next point. So there's a process. And I always like even people who work with me, I tell them the goal is for you to be self-sufficient and for you to be able to do this on your own. In other words, you don't need to be me, but you get to the point. So when I work with someone, I work with them a lot in the beginning and then it trails off. The reason it trails off is like at first, some people at work, okay, if they're very sick, it's 6 hours a day for a few days, a couple weeks, and then it drops to four, and it'll drop to two, and then it might drop to the frequency becomes every few days, a week, every couple weeks, every month, every 2 months, and they let go, like they have the energy to do what they needed. They did what they needed to do with me. So this means in certain points of our soul's growth, we connect. I connected with uh, I connected with the person I married, and then it was over, and I learned to heal myself. Then I connected with someone else. I connect with different people along the way, but there's only some people are special in my life that are that in that way. And when it comes to doing healings, same thing. That intersection happens, and then eventually we let go. It could be a one-time thing, or it could be over a few months or over a few years. But the j- the pro the reason is it's not for them to stay dependent on me. It's for them to have the enough energy to be able to release and heal their stuff and to be able to know what to do. And that should happen for you no matter what you do. It happens with the people I work with. So I'm telling you this so that you know this is possible. You know this is possible depending on where you are in your healing. Everybody's going to come in a different space. And unless you popped out of your mother and you had all these gifts and you've been going all the way and you had a really supportive family, um, chances are that things have shut down before and you had these lessons and now you got to clear out these lessons, clear out the energies from the lessons. And that's kind of how it is. Just trying to think. Yes. So for myself, I I'm in my birthday was last week, 56 now, and I got my serious spiritual awakening about 25 years ago. And before that, I was working with, the Wayne Dyers, Tony Robbins, and people, um, people who showed me about psychology. So I did as much as I could with the psychology. I did not know anything about healers, but eventually my energy, the pressure built up so much that I had all these openings. Now, once I had the openings, then I was like, what's going on? And I started healing as things I could. It was not all pretty. It was not all pretty at all. I just don't go into details. I can, but not today. Um, as things let go, as I heal, I was able to help people more, and I'm able to help them even quicker today. Now, the reason I say this is because I had my awakening when I was married with I was only married once. I had my awakening. But before that, I just did things with my heart. I just decided I'm going to do with my heart. So if someone's getting hurt for some reason, if someone's getting attacked by someone like not nice at work, I would just somehow I knew, and then at some point I would just lean into them and tell them, here's what it's going to be, and move on. Whether I had authority or not, I did it. So I did with my heart. And doing things with my heart is what allowed my spiritual energy to come out, open up stuff. But before then, let's look at before. As a child, sensitive child, never knew anything, never saw like things spiritual and like that. I just I would do recordings and play them while I was sleeping. I just did some stuff that other people didn't. Now, past lifetime, I would have healed my soul to a certain point. I come in this lifetime and uh, go through birth and get all these things. All the people in my life are those I need to heal things with until I have my openings, and then it brings more healing. So let's say, and I say this because if you're going to say, well, how does Al know? I know because I've healed those parts of myself. The first time I did a healing, uh, I was at a class. There were four women. They're doing healings, and all of a sudden, when they did the healing, I was sitting far away because I was too scared to get involved and touch because I knew they were like they knew my thoughts, and I was like, I don't want them to know my thoughts, and I did not feel comfortable. Okay, I'll just say it that way. But when they're doing it, my third eye opens, and then I'm getting like, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that. They need to do this part. They didn't do that part. So um, it's there for me. I have to show up, and it's there. There's a lot more that happens than that, but this is what happened. And I, at that time when I was being told, what else they need to do, I told them they did it. And then even when I left, someone was giving me a ride home, and they said, "Well, that's pretty good that you knew that." And I said, "Well, there was this I didn't say." And they're like, "Oh, yeah, you should have said that. We'll do that next time." So it's like I get, I'll put the picture of that. I get the higher levels. I get the higher guidance. Now, someone who had, we talked about dreams, we talked about procrastination. Where does the mind go? So, where does your consciousness go? It's going within the ethers, the etheric layers, whether it's uh, whatever you believe about dimensional and quantum dimensional and parallel dimensions and whatever. It's going to wherever it needs to do whatever it needs to do. Okay. Someone who is in this lifetime was in whatever happened that they lost consciousness or in a coma or something, and they come back, and all of a sudden they have these gifts. What happens is there's the spirit, the guides, when they leave their body, their spirit is like partially outside of the body, um, and the guides are connecting them to different things. So they're at the point of life. that they come back with these gifts and they are unexplainable. They're like, I don't know, Mary was gone and she came back and now she can do this. And then she's like, I don't know how, I can just do it now. So that is what happens when you leave your body. That energy is going different levels and there's all these connections happening. And the reason I point this out is like, well, who can do more and why is it happening? It's going based on your soul and where you healed and at what part you are and what story you're working on. And um, who you're going to know, the people who do certain things. You're going to have the right people in your life. But let's look at someone. I say this so that you understand that I'm starting from where I left off a previous lifetime or dimensional lifetimes or whatever it was. And the person in this lifetime who gets all these connections and also has all these gifts, who may not know why, that is why, because things happen at a certain level and the guides are connecting them up. I had things happen and they connected me up. But one thing different in my life is I had to like lose everything, but I didn't lose anything. What I lost was my material stuff. And I did not lose my children. That's the only thing I cared about. So I did not lose my children, and somehow I had a place to stay. And when I didn't, I went to family and friends. So everybody has their own story, and everybody is starting from a different place. You might be saying, well, Al, I can't do all the things you say, but I could do this, or I could do these things, and you never said that, and I don't know if you can do that. So you're coming from your own healing, from your own expression, and I find that when I look at someone, this is the same for everyone. If they're a spiritual seeker, they've been at this for millions of lifetimes or whatever, and all these lifetimes are working on a different aspect of themselves. Could be the same one for over and over and over and over. But they've worked on healing. They've done a lot of healing in certain areas. But those, all those areas, we're setting them up. So let's say they worked on 10 areas. Let's say it was really a million, but I'll say 10. They worked on 10. They get their spiritual awakening. And whether it's with me or not, someone will say, well, you have a gift of doing, this thing, and you have a gift of doing that or that. And you're like, I don't know if I have that. Someone could see all the areas you worked on. Someone knows if you're strong and good at cooking, you're strong or you're good at listening to people, or you're strong and good at being there for people or organizing, because you've worked those past lifetimes. So you could take all these areas. I'm telling you for yourself. I do this for people, but you could like you do it for yourself where you connect those energies together and then you have that wave of healing is even stronger. That is part of being able to do this in the year that I'm saying this right now in 2025. Connecting all these parts together so your mind, body, spirit, and soul can go, wow, thank you very much. I'm going to push out all this other crap. And eventually there's no more crap, or it's little and you can handle it. Instead of like shoveling the stuff out of your house, you're just sweeping a little bit. If you got a faster broom or a vacuum now, it's so much easier. All right. There is another person, and I say this to be careful. Um, Someone who is new to spirituality and has been good at pushing all their stuff away. Some people don't know how to heal, and they keep pushing their stuff away, like I used to do, right? So their stuff is is they're suffering because their energy, their life force energy, is being used to manage everything around them. And they don't know how to heal. And if you're one of them and you're just managing, you have to be careful. And you know this, that's why you're doing it. You have to be careful on how you because you don't want to release all that and then you got to live with all that pain. You want to find someone who's aware of that and heal those parts of you. You know the parts of you want to heal. Make a list. Do not release them all at the same time. It's painful. Okay? If you have any questions about that, you can also um, put a message. I'm going to see. Yeah. All right. See what else I have. Ah, okay. I'm going to bring this up. Just a couple things. Oh, I want to talk about connection with God. So, our connection with God, with Creator, is gets stronger as we heal. If you do this, if you pray, some people have a lot more strength to pray than others. And if you have a lot of strength, they're like, just get, whoever this person to pray because that the like you've noticed a real changes because that person has a lot of energy. I used to do a lot of praying like this, and and I would do praying like over my head too, my crown, when I didn't know how to do it. Didn't have like certain modalities, but I felt I had to put my hands there. This is very powerful. This by itself is not like will not solve everything, but it's a good way to connect with God, no matter where your hands are. Like there's different religions, Buddhists, and all this stuff. I put them in front of me, but like I said, I used to put them on top of me because I want to filter that energy that's going up through me. So, our connection with God, let's say we're born a soul, but our soul is born from other souls that are fragmented. There's things we need to heal from an ancestral point of view. I just gave you a couple of concepts there about a soul being born from another soul where there's fragmentation. If we turn off a part of ourselves, I'm going to tell you, I'll show you how that happens. If there's a wound and there's a traumatic event, and during the traumatic event, you're calling out to Creator saying, help me, and you're not getting any help, and the event is very painful. Well, what happens is, and this can be healed, but what happens is we get to the point that we just say, I cut out God. So you might like have, uh, so the trauma could be anything. But there's a connection that cannot happen after. If we say, God, you weren't there when I needed you, fuck off. Okay? For example, leave me alone. God, you weren't there when I needed you. So what happens is you turn off a part of your divine self, of yourself. You turn off the part that has the connection with your guides and with the beings that can help you. And it's unconscious. You'll know that part of you is turned off because you'll get all these signs, but you can't figure out what the problem is. You get the buzzing in the ear, guides are talking to you. When I work through this with someone, I'll say, ask the guide to slow down to speak to your speed. You cannot hear that speed. And then, for example, but there'll be like darkness in front of you, there'll be things around you, all these things that Remember, I said you got the body, you got the power. You commanded at some point to turn this off. And that's why you can't find the root cause of your problem. Because whatever trauma was there, your mind is protecting you. Your mind is doing your consciousness, which is extending the wound and taking it away from you so you don't hurt, reducing your life force energy, making it so you can't see it. And you're trying to figure out, without enough energy in your body, so all the fear, everything's coming through you. Your mind's externally trying to figure out. Part of your mind is like, you're not going to see this. Another part is like, what did you do wrong? What did I do wrong? Was I not born the right way? Why did God screwed up this part of the world? How come God can't get it right? And if you only knew, it's just about healing yourself. It is about healing yourself. And that's how these things happen. A lot of them happen that way, where, and it could happen in utero. It could happen anywhere because you have that connection with source. And whatever happens, whether it's a wound or a misinterpretation, because a mind is forming and there's an interpretation of what's happening around you, and you might cut off part of you. That is normal, 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 normal. It's normal, especially if someone says, hey, we don't do something like that here. Like you're spiritual, you're doing spiritual things as a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, and someone's like, don't do that. There's no such thing as this, right? Cut. Just cut it there. Family members cutting things off. Or you've seen people do things, you're like, I'll never want to be like that. So you just gave a command, I'll never be like that. So all these competing thought structures are blocking your divinity. They block you in every part of life, but blocking your divinity. If someone has hurt you and you hate them or angry at them, and that's normal, and you let go of that anger, but you still have, you're just not impressed with them. But there's still a part, it's still a part that's blocking your divinity. It's still a part blocking your divinity. You want to get to the point that there's different stages, but like one could be very anger, and one could be like, okay, let go of the anger, the pain, crying. But then it could be like, well, what is the lesson in this? I'm okay. There's a lesson here, or yeah, I do feel better for some reason. This is better in my life. Where you start opening up to your heart starts opening up and saying, well, maybe I can accept that's good. And maybe some people accept that right away. But then when you get to healing it, when you get to the point where you healed most of it, it's like a distant memory, or there's no emotional charge with it. Is there anything you're having an emotional charge, no matter whether you're with yourself or anyone else, there's healing there. The wound, the fragment, the behaviors, and the thoughts and the emotions. Those are all symptoms. The wound is not a symptom, but everything after the wound is a symptom of the wound and a symptom of something that needs to be addressed. Maybe you don't use the word healing. Maybe you don't believe in healing. Maybe you're just like stabilizing. It doesn't matter. I call it healing. Healing is broad, but it's like healing is gone. When I had mental illness, after a few years, when I healed all those parts of me, and I had to go to Stonehenge to do that, after I healed those parts of me, from the person who had my power, then there was nothing for anyone else to hang on to. So those thoughts went away. I'm going to talk about uh, lovers. So I talked about lust. Now we're coming back to lust and negative, or taking painful energy, switching it to sexual energy or sacred energy so that people get together and do their releasing and healing. So I noticed like in my first relationship, all of a sudden I had this download of information. So I realized, why was I with this person in the first place? Why? Why? I did a lot of why. So I got, okay, so there's things I liked about that person. I could accept that. I like her smile, and I know it sounds like, uh, doesn't sound very deep, but I never smiled a lot. So she smiled for me. If I had to go, I needed something done, I'd send her. She would go do the smiling, and everything was fine. If I'm trying to cross customs, I'd have pull over, sir. Come on in. She's driving. It's all good. So maybe there's a lot of reasons for that, but the smile was important to me. Life was easier. Um, there's more than that, though. There's a lot of things that I loved about this person, and there's things that I love consciously about them, and there's things that I loved that they could do that I didn't, and there's things that I knew that they could not do that I could, and there's things that I did not know they could do, but I could not. So we're talking about things of consciousness that I like, or things of consciousness that I don't like about them, but I ignore. Things of unconsciousness that I like, things of unconsciousness that I don't like, but I ignore. And then there's things I don't know about. We'll say that's unconscious. I don't know those things about them. I don't know the whole reason we're together. That was given to me after the relationship was done. I started like all of a sudden we're in Greece, we're together. So we've been together for a long time in different scenarios. We were two soldiers, but the patterns were still repeating. So this was my chance to heal and close off the patterns. And knowing that I'm attracted to this person for these reasons helps me realize why I'm in this person and why I'm with this person and what I can do to heal for the next one. So healing for the next one. So after I was with this person for over a decade, I was with someone else for a decade who was older and I thought more mature. And she was a healer with me, and we did like fantastic stuff. But then we healed, and our window closed off. Remember, we are connected here, but that was finished, and we connected like uh, about last year, just over text. And then a few months ago, we connected again when our mother passed, and then she sent me a message because she knows uh, I'm good at helping people cross over, so she just texted me, and that was it, and took care of that. Don't know if I'll ever see her again, but uh, that was a relationship, and then I went to a relationship with someone. So this one, she was like 12 years older. Then I went to a relationship with someone who was 7 years younger, and we lasted about 10 years, but we closed off. And she wasn't very spiritual. It doesn't mean you have to be with someone who's very spiritual, even if you are. As long as they let you do your thing, it's fine. It might sound better to be with someone spiritual, but if one person's blocked and one person's not looking at themselves, it could be even worse. So I always look at being with someone who's uh, with their heart, who does at least with their heart. You could be spiritual and work with your mind, but not your heart. And if you don't work with your heart, you cannot grow to the speed that you have the capacity to do. Heal your heart, and everything changes. Your flow of abundance changes. Everything happens for a reason. Everything happens at the right time. But look at what's not right and change that timeline to make it right for you. All right. Just going to see if I have Any messages? So if anyone wants to leave a message, have a question, that's perfectly fine for me. I'm just going to see what else I'm going to talk about because that might be, we're getting close to what I wanted to say. Oh, I had a couple of images I want to bring up. Here we go. Just going to change this image. There we go. I'll go a little bit bigger here. So, a lot of, I just took a print screen this morning, but a lot of stuff happening here. But just look at this white at the top where it goes white and it goes to their left. So that's an energy channel. That's my whole point out of this. The energy is going up and all of a sudden it diverts. What does that mean? That means it's going to the pain. That energy is diverting, it's going to heal that pain. When you space out, whatever it is, when you find a lover that you have stuff you had to heal with, all of a sudden they're like, how come, well, I'll find another name. Uh, how come Thomas is, he's just in la la land, he's just gone. Well, because the energy's going up and it's taken off. It's not going to source, it's using the lower chakras now. So it's just like, it's using out of the present, out of the present, probably the past. And the channels are, so when I saw this on someone, like it was like someone who, it was a woman, and she was talking about a dream she had about me. And then when she started crying, the energy is like, I saw the energy. So I just like walked up and I straightened out the channel. And I'm like, see if that holds, and it didn't, right? It held, but as soon as she started thinking about me again, it went off again. So a couple of years later, we started going out. We met up again, and we started going out and healed that stuff. And when it healed, that's when the relationship was over. It was closing off. There was like, we're done what we needed to do. Doesn't mean it's a fun thing. So if we look at me, I might have had that channel too, but I'm not being shown that. I'm being shown this on this other person. So what that means is, and I did say, like, I have been in relationships with people, and like, oh, okay, Spirit says we'll be together this many years, and then it's over. Well, that doesn't go too well with the person I'm telling, even though they did appreciate it, but I still, it's not something I say anymore. So now I'm kind of like leave that open to whatever it is. So what do I want to say about the channel? Hmm. My mind, hey, wherever I went, my mind went this way or that way, right? My channel is gone. I'm working on, I'll get the answer all of a sudden, and I'll be like, I'll continue. It was something about relationships. It was something about a channel that's going off. Because the question in my head is, what do they need to hear? What do they need to know now? Hmm. So channels are when I see myself or another person, I'll see a flash of the channel. So let's say I'm dealing with something I haven't dealt with before. I will see that energy. So as the energy going through, because it cycles, and when it's cycling, let's turn it off. When it's cycling, I will see the darkness and the light in it. If it's very dark, it just means, it doesn't mean the person's evil. It means that channel, because that channel is wherever it's going and cycling, it's picking up the energy of whatever it needs to heal. So if it's very dark, it's picking up a lot of darkness. It doesn't mean the person's evil. It just means, so sometimes you might see darkness in someone and they might not be as dark as you think. Or sometimes when you look at them, you might think you're seeing their channel, but you're seeing your own. So observe, learn to observe. But if I see a lot of darkness, I use this as a guide. I see a lot of darkness in a channel. I will observe that channel after a few healings with that person. It gets wider and wider and wider. And something that's going off will eventually strain out. And as it strains out, it becomes wider and wider and wider. And after, it starts becoming invisible. It's like looking, there's no more the whiteness. It just becomes, because it's part of our field. Our field heals and you don't need the whiteness anymore. It just becomes part of the field. Then after, when that's happening, I know it's there because the intelligence of it, but then it embodies and integrates and it's done. So there's many stages from the darkness to the whiteness to becoming, I call it invisible, and then just having the intelligence, the knowing, and then nothing. It's just a channel that healed. All right. I think I have one more thing. Yes. Some of you have seen this before, but it's important. We will start with, let's see. I'm gonna change sides. All right. It's got a little image of me from another Zoom, but I just did a print screen today. The healing that we do, the healing that I've become accustomed to do, the healing that I was taught, the healing that we are taught uh, from pretty well everywhere, especially old school, is there's meditation or there's time being. You spend time being. So you're being instead of doing. So you got to sit down, relax. Whatever you got to do, you need stillness of the body. Stillness of the body, uh, and kind of you use this vision, or me, I use a lot of the crown. It's more powerful. The third eye gives me certain things, but the crown gives me a lot of other stuff. I don't know how. It gives me knowledge, gives me ability to connect higher, gives me ability to heal stuff. Um, so I've maximized my ability to do that. Let's just say. And I say this as like, whoa, is this guy bragging? Well, this is where I am. I got to say where I am. I got to say like, there's not much pain in my life, and bliss energy. Okay, I'll talk about bliss energy right after that. I'll just make a note. So the more you heal your heart, the more bliss energy you have. But if you're using your top chakras all the time, even though you might call in the energy in the lower chakras, not the same as if you actually do that physical activation. And the physical activation is, instead of like top down, is more bottom up. Really, it shouldn't be top down, bottom up. It should be equal, okay? But this is where I'm kind of switching it, where we do the tapping, the activation. If something you want to know, do the Sunday, Sacred Sunday meditation. You'll learn about that. But the more we do with that, the more it embodies embodies our soul, our heart, our energy within us so that we could heal. And the more we have connection to those higher uh, levels, so they could bring us messages from the present, messages that are not skewed with the drama or that are lower level messages, even though they're very high level, they're not the highest level. So what they're going to do is send you off doing a bunch of stuff in your life, in your journey, that is just wasting your time. When you could heal at a higher level and it would address all those things. I'm telling you that because that's very important to know. It's important to, like, the shifts can be huge. And I know there's higher shifts coming because the mind is very powerful. And you could use a mind to, like, whether you feel pain or don't feel pain or heal certain parts of you. Some people do that. I don't do much of that. I do the ways I just told you. But I think there's a lot more to it when I connect with that. Bliss. Okay, I'm going to see how long. All right, I'm going to talk about the journey. I'm going to turn this off. See if there was another image I want to show. No. For those who haven't heard my journey yet, I've been. This is important because the reason this is important because not that you do things the same way, but that you understand the principles and the concepts around it, around the journey. The journey is like different for everyone, but it's to heal their stuff so your heart heals. It doesn't mean you heal everything in life. It doesn't mean you heal every little wound and pain, but you can heal a lot of it. And heart pain is like pretty well runs our life. You can have physical pain, but you have heart pain along with it. So if you're going to heal your heart pain from your past, if you're going to heal past heartbreak, whether it's this lifetime or not, you can do it. And I already said you can do it. There are ways to do it. If someone tells you you cannot, thank you very much, move on to someone else. There's enough energy to do it. There are people who can do it. I know it because that's what I do. So, my journey went from being with, and I said, like, I was with people for like decades, different people I've been with. I was married and I lived with a couple people, one person at a time. But when that ended, my children were grown enough. They were in their 20s. That was a couple of years ago. And I was getting to the point, like with my intuition, what else do I need to heal next? And I was just getting, well, you need to go do qigong, you need to go do yoga. And I know that because also like those were like the voice that's deep inside me for all this time. Like these are the things you need to explore. Why? Today I know why, but back then it was like I need to explore those different parts because I'm done with the type of healing that I do. I do a lot of, and it's not, I'm not finished at healing, but I don't need to focus on that anymore. What interesting thing is what's happened is there is, I call it the healer matrix, where I did a lot of healings throughout it, but I also realized from the people that I was doing healings with at high levels that it didn't stop. And they didn't stop, their pain didn't stop. I had things I needed to heal, but I realized the more that I stopped focusing my mind there, the less I needed to do healings there. So I still do healings every day, but um, not to the level that I needed to before. Now it's more growth and expansion. That's why you see I got a bunch of stuff coming out like every few days because I got a lot of energy and I'm able to channel it properly, doing the energetics, and it fills up my energy body and it gives me clearer answers. I've always had clear answers, but it gives me answers in places I was looking. So I I went from, I said my children were grown, but I went through my, it was a common law marriage, so it's not a divorce, but it's separation. So we decided we sold a house, I sold my car, um, quit my job, and I just sat down and I said, like, soul, what do I do? What do I do? Yoga, qigong. All right, where do I go? So this is part of the journey. It's almost like it's like dating. It's not the same, but it's like, where do I go? Well, I'm attracted to Peru. So I started looking for yoga in Peru, and I found a teacher there, and I found a place that looked like I wanted to be because I wanted to go, but I had to be safe for me. These are not necessarily safe countries that I'm looking at, but I wanted to get out of North America and not pay like North American rates. Like I don't need to pay 10 grand to go to a yoga or yoga teacher training. So I was looking at Peru and I thought I might be there for a while. I spoke to the teacher and she said, well, that one gets interrupted often because the political instability. And she said, we're teaching, this was in end November. She says, we're teaching in the beginning in January, come to Thailand. I said, well, I don't know anything about Thailand. I don't know if it's safe. And she said, it's safe. And started guiding me on what I needed to do once I got there. So I quit my job, did not even give 2 weeks notice. I said, and we moved, like that was, everything was cleared out in the house, put the stuff in storage. And I applied to go to Thailand, and they said, the embassy said, we're very busy because it's Christmas time, so change your flight plans. You wait a couple more weeks. They wanted 6 weeks, and usually it's approved within a couple weeks. So I changed it to Japan because I did not need a visa. So what I'm telling you is my story, and the reason I say it, not for you to make the same story, but just listen to the things I say and what happens. When I went to Japan, I didn't know where I wanted to go, but I knew that if I'm going to go there, since my background is Reiki, I want to go where that mountain where Yusui uh, rediscovered Reiki, as they say. I'd say discovered it, but I talked to India. They say people in India, they're like, nah, we learned it first, so we knew it first, so I'm whatever. So I went there. I met people on the mountain. I went to that mountain every second and third day. I went where he had his openings. The spirit was so strong. I healed a lot of stuff. I got parts of me back from samurai days. I've healed parts of me that gave me a lot of strength. I had spirit, did a attunement when I was with someone else. We were both walking on a trail and we were both attuned. And I brought people there for their healing that I met there. I learned a lot about things that I didn't have in North America. And I also started getting in touch with people, mostly women, who were in touch with them spiritually. It seems like they're not blocked like what I know from home. They feel energy. They know what you're thinking too. So that was like I was in Japan for 3 weeks. I loved it. Then I went to Thailand and I went to yoga and I learned about the bliss energy. And they were telling me about yogis who you just walk in and that bliss energy is flowing and it makes you cry right away and it's very loving. So I was like, what is this bliss energy? And I was trying to figure out, but they said you have to go to Rishikesh. So I said, well, I'll think about it. So I graduated my yoga teacher training. But before leaving Thailand, I went and I just walked in a qigong studio, and there was a qigong master, and it was her place, and she was a kung fu master and qigong master, and we spent weeks together. I took a couple levels qigong with her. She showed me a lot of neat things and a lot of healings that happened when we were there. And then she showed me a higher level. It was level 3, that she said, if you take this, here's what's going to happen. And she showed me about um, her dantian, lower dantian. Like, I didn't know what she's doing, but she pulled out this energy, and it started, like, it was just for a moment, but it just, I was like, I was going to start bawling on the spot. Like, I was standing about, I don't know, 3 meters from her, and it's just like, and she put it back in, and it stopped. The energy stopped, and I was like, you know what? Wait a sec. I think that's that bliss energy I'm supposed to go find. And she said, I said, you have love energy in your hands, very strong. And she said, I never knew what to call it. So, and I said, well, it's very, very, very strong. That's what I'm going to look for in India. Now I just realized someone has mastery, and she's a younger woman than me, but was brought into this stuff. She has a lot of mastery, and she can do it too. So it tells me I don't need to go find a yogi. I can, but and she has 2 kids. You could still have a family. You don't have to go live on the top of a mountain by yourself. So we also talked about Buddhism, and she said the Buddha relics were in town. So from India, they lent the Buddha relics from Buddha and his disciples in Thailand. And she said, you should go see this. And I was not keen on going to see Buddha. I didn't like Buddha for whatever reason. But she told me this at the beginning of a session, and then I saw this energy body just clear out. And by the end of it, I said, okay, I'll go. And I went that night. I went that night, and I just let the energy do whatever it had to do. Then within a few weeks, I was in India at Ayurvedic Center, and where I was, I did not find the energy that high. I found it higher in Thailand where I was. Now, there's a lot of places in India that have amazing energy. I'll say where I was staying, but I got what I was supposed to. I connected with, besides connecting with Buddha energies, I connected with Krishna energies, and it helped elevate my vibration. It helped me do my healing. So I guess we're going to talk a little bit about deities. And deities are, in my opinion, part of collective consciousness. They could be part of our consciousness or collective consciousness. They are our own energy. So what I do is I heal the part of me that's connected with it, part of me that's part of it. Uh, I heal the part of me. So if it's, um, first of all, I want that energy back. So it's energy I pull back if I can. If I can't, I send it back to the light, which is probably sending it back to part of my divine self. But I notice when I do that, my pain lets go. My pain of the world lets go. So I'm connected to all this higher levels of consciousness like we all are. But if you heal those parts of you and you focus on them, instead of saying, this is the God of sex, this is the God of blah, 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 this is the God that gives good fortune, you can bring those energies back cleanly in yourself. You can heal them if needed, but you got to recognize they are yours, and they actually should be embodied within you at some point. Start noticing them. There's no there's no deities that were just, in my opinion, created. I haven't found it to be that way. I haven't found it to be created by a creator, I find that they are created by us. And that just like a fragment that I said is protecting a part of trauma along a timeline, these are fragments of trauma. And some are beautiful fragments that really help us. And some are fragments that don't help us. If you look at what's going on in the world, and you can heal those fragments, you can heal parts of yourself, but you need, in order to do that, you recognize that, and I'm saying this so you get control back. You recognize they're part of yourself and not some other God. What happens? Well, now you're like, oh, wait a sec, I can heal that. You might not know how, but you can heal that. And I'm gonna see if any comments. If not, I'm gonna end it there. That's where I had to end. One moment. That's it. Okay. Thank you very much for listening. Bye bye.